Okay, good morning. Welcome to the third webinar in the data management series. In this webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about managing data throughout the entire product lifecycle, not just in the engineering department, but beyond in the wider organization. So first of all, introduce myself. My name is Gerard Treacy. I look after management of projects and software development in ProCAD. I tend to get involved in projects that require customization. For example, automating processes, improving efficiency, migrating data, integrating different systems, and so on. This includes things like developing custom add-ins for Vault, iLogic code for design automation, data transformations, and so on. I also have some experience working in regulated industry, validating software applications. So I've been in this area for quite some time, and hopefully I have a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about here today. So the earlier webinars in this series focused on the product data management side of things. My colleagues Adam and Ray talked about using Vault to manage design data. Today I'm going to follow on to those two previous webinars and have a look at the bigger picture. We're going to have a look at the product lifecycle management solution called Fusion Lifecycle Management, or Fusion 360 Manage. So I will be talking a little bit about Vault as well, because obviously the two do go hand in hand, and there is integration between them, and we will need to reference that. So we'll have a look at the acronyms first of all, PDM and PLM. PDM, as you're probably aware from if you attended the previous webinars, is the product data management side of it. So these are documents basically that describe the actual product, drawings, 3D models, specifications, and so on. The PLM is the product lifecycle management, and it deals with the bigger picture, everything across the initial introduction of the product, managing it through the manufacturing process, managing quality at the various stages, and managing change throughout the entire lifecycle from the initial design through to retirement of the product. And obviously, collaborating with other third parties like suppliers is an important part of the process as well. So in the Autodesk world, the Vault PLM solution combines two products, the Vault Professional, which is the product data management side of it, and the Fusion Lifecycle, which is the lifecycle management side. So that gives you kind of enterprise-wide collaboration and management throughout the entire lifecycle. So we're going to talk a little bit about the common challenges that we can all relate to, time, quality, and cost. Time, obviously, we need to save it wherever we can, improve processes, reduce the time to get the product out to the market faster, and generally get more value from our time. We'll also have a look at some quality issues that we might have, how Autodesk products can help to deal with or eliminate those problems. And ultimately, this all boils down to cost. So time is money, quality problems are money, and it all boils down to costs and how we can actually reduce them. So there are various inefficiencies that are typically present in most organizations. What are the ones that you deal with? We'll look at some of the typical ones. Globalization obviously is a challenge. It's a small world these days, and we often have to deal with people in various parts of the world, be it within our own organization or third-party suppliers or designers or collaborators. So usually there's problems sharing data between people in different locations. You'll have different file formats to deal with, different methods of sharing files, potentially having to reprocess or do some kind of a transformation on data in order to share it with other people. Even retyping it or even having to send it, via some kind of a file sharing system. So we're going to look at some of the process bottlenecks and ways around those. And this starts in the design or the concept stage and can go all the way through the supply chain, supplier collaboration, and so on. So we're going to look at how we can overcome lack of collaboration and make sure everybody's on the same page, everybody working with the same set of data, avoiding wasted manual efforts. And most people can relate to wasted manual efforts, things like, I'm sure I've done this before, didn't I just tell you that, and so on. So there's a lot of different moving parts in the full product lifecycle, and everything doesn't always happen as it's expected to, as it's planned to. So we're going to talk about PDM and PLM to identify how they can help and which system does what in terms of the various roles and responsibilities at different stages throughout the product lifecycle. So we look at a typical development process first. We have a sale or some kind of an interest from at the beginning, typically. Usually there's engineering, and that's something that Autodesk is very good at. There's a variety of tools to help you get the job done there. Then you have the pre-production, production service, and the normal operation, and then through to retirement stages. So this is a very basic generic overview. You can add in your own variations and terminology and phrases and so on as applicable. So usually at the front end, you have the CRM, customer resource management system. And on the back end, then you have your enterprise resource management, manufacturing resource planning, manufacturing execution systems, these kind of systems. Or sometimes there may be a homegrown application that you're dealing with. So when you have different systems involved at different stages, then it's obviously easy to see that you can have inefficiencies, and you can have different silos of information at the different stages, maybe not talking to each other, difficulty sharing information between people even within the same organization. So it's not efficient in the way it moves from one stage in the life cycle to the next, typically. So that's where the PLM comes in. So again, it means that you have one place to look for all of the information that's involved with the product data. So it's all about the product and the processes that go with it. It's not just the data we're dealing with here, it's the supporting processes also. So anytime obviously that you're kind of sending information, importing data, rekeying data, re-entering it in other systems, that's all inefficient, and it can obviously lead to human error as well. So again, in the engineering stage, you see some familiar icons. Perhaps if you're in the Autodesk world, you'll recognize those. You have your AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, and so on. It's not just the Autodesk world, obviously. There are integrations with other third-party design tools as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a while. So again, you have Vault in there for the data management, the product data management side of it. And Vault is there obviously to kind of store the information, collect everything that you need, and it can have store all of the various file formats like the CAD files, Word, Office files, and so on. So the product data management is all about managing this side of it, where your design and engineering bills of materials and structured are organized and managed inside in this engineering environment. So then if we look at some kind of the words or the phrases that are typically associated with the PDM side of things, you have words like concurrent design, bills of materials, version and revision control. It's about obviously having a single source of truth for all of the data, one place that you look for all of the designs and the supporting information and your bills of materials and so on. So that's the primary goal of the product data management side, and it has been addressed obviously in some of the previous webinars as well. So there's a few different versions of Vault. Again, you have the Vault Basic, which is included with various subscriptions, and then there's the professional version, which adds additional features and functionality. So obviously it's much better than trying to share data using a shared drive or non-CAD aware applications like Dropbox or Google Drive. They don't understand the relationships between the data typically, and they don't manage it very well. So Vault Professional is the ideal solution for that. It's a mature product, obviously. It has been around for quite some time and works with all of the various Autodesk products and also SolidWorks and Creo and various other third-party applications. You can handle PDF files, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, whatever you need. So anything you need to capture, basically, you can store it within the Vault environment. So the Vault is what they call CAD integrated product data management, and it runs in the various applications. So within the application toolbars, you'll have a Vault add-in in there, which allows you to interact with the Vault environment, with a couple of quick clicks. So you have the various different applications that can show this toolbar, all of the AutoCAD ones, Plan 3D, etc. And then obviously you have things like 3D Max, Inventor, the Civil 3D, Revit, Navisworks, and so on. So again, if you haven't looked at Vault previously, have a look at it and understand its capabilities. So again, Vault is scalable for various sizes of teams. It obviously allows you to collaborate across multiple sites easily, avoids all of the human error that goes with that. So if you have different departments, different within your organization or different organizations across the world, wherever they are, they can all collaborate as if they were in the one single environment and have access to the latest data. So Vault also helps you to collaborate with the external partners, as I mentioned, beyond your own office firewall, for example. Sometimes that can be a challenge, if you're going back and forth with file transfers, FTP transfers, Dropboxes, or things of that nature. Those tools aren't able to handle CAD type data. They don't understand the relationships between them, and it often causes difficulty in transferring data. So instead, you can obviously use a simple cloud-based app called Fusion Team with Vault to share your design files, and authorized external users can easily access that information and collaborate with you on those designs. So Vault takes care of keeping everything up to date and working with the latest version of all of the various project files. It works, it's simple, it's reliable. Vault can obviously also help you increase productivity. Things like copy design, allow you to quickly copy designs and so on. I'm not going to spend much time on this because I know that this has been covered in the previous 2 webinars in the series. Obviously you can have it updating title blocks and so on. So again, it helps eliminate duplicates with search and reduction features. You've maybe got a design that has already used something quite similar to what you need. You can find and reuse that data easily within the Vault environment. Typically, that allows you to make significant savings, in avoiding, prototyping, testing, design, production throughout the entire stages. You can save money by just obviously eliminating the duplicates. The search we just talked about there again. So everything basically, obviously, that you check into Vault is part of your bill of materials. It's the recipe for the product. So all of the drawings, the designs, your CAD data becomes your structured engineering bill of materials. Once you've got that structured engineering bill of materials, then it's time to move it on to the next stage of the process and move it out of the engineering department onto the next stage of the journey. So again, at this point, then you're looking at your processes and your other enterprise integrations. So we're into the world of PLM at this point. So the PLM takes care of the process management and integrating with other third-party applications. So it helps to speed up your overall processes. It helps to integrate your data more efficiently and accurately, gets information to all of the relevant people that require it. So PLM helps to look at all of this. So why is the process management side of it important? You want to make sure, obviously, that everything is properly documented and accessible in a central system. That gives you easy collaboration across all of the various divisions, departments, whatever within your business. You're probably doing it in some fashion already, but it's not. If it's not in a system like this, you're probably going to have various bottlenecks. Because of manual processes, because of failure of people to move on information when they're supposed to do it, and maybe various absences due to illness or vacations or whatever it might be. So again, obviously there are easier ways to do all of this. You want to free people up to do productive work rather than non-productive, non-value added type actions. Obviously, you can also have an audit trail at various stages of the process. So you can track on any changes that were made. You understand why they were made, who made them, what was actually done. Having all of this in a formalized PLM system lets people know why a change request was initiated, for example, because maybe a problem reported, causing a change order. Supplier obviously has to be informed, make some changes on that side. Maybe they had a quality issue with a part they were producing for you, or so on. So obviously the PLM comes into it here. So you can go from using the Vault product data management to manage your data to using the Vault PLM, lifecycle management. That adds all of the process management to your environment, so you can do more with that data that you've got about your designs, about your product. So it removes the bottlenecks by automating the transformations and the tasks, notification to the various stakeholders. You have a full history of all of the actions that are carried out within the lifecycle management environment. So you've got full traceability, you've got full management of your suppliers, and you have real-time status reporting, which is very important as well. So you can easily track what's going on and understand the status of all of the various tasks, processes, and so on. So all of the people in your team can find the information that they need, at their fingertips. They don't have to go searching for it. They don't have to go asking other people, have you got this, or where is that, and so on. So let's have a look at what PLM can do for the organization. We've already covered how we can manage the actual product data. So that's one central location inside Vault. It has all of your designs, your BOMs. So then speeding up the product development and business processes, you have the various approvals that go along the various stages. So the steps that the products go through from the design stage right through to manufacturing. So you can put in a custom tailored process that is geared to your particular needs, create a workflow that suits you, and then you have you can extend the value downstream to all of the various other departments and to integrations with other enterprise business systems to give you that value at the end of the day. So the Vault PLM gives you what you see at the top there out of the box. So there's a few very pillars of what they called referred to inside in the PLM functionality, but that's not all that you get. This is just the starting point. All of these are customizable to suit your particular requirements, and you can add additional features and processes fully customizable by yourself without any coding or specialist intervention. So again, rather than teams operating separately and asking for the same information through email or spreadsheets or whatever that are only accessible to select people or selected department, you're sharing the information across the entire organization to all of the relevant stakeholders and outside of your organization as well, to the relevant third parties, suppliers and so on. So we're going to look at everything from new product introduction, managing your enterprise bill of materials as opposed to your engineering bill, collaborating with your suppliers, managing change at the various stages, and obviously managing quality throughout the entire process as well. So let's look at the new product introduction first of all. So that's typically the process where you take your concept, you go through your prototyping stage, you go all the way through the actual design, manufacturing, and service stages, and through to retirement of the actual product as well. So you need to manage the entire life cycle right the way through. It's not just a matter of creating your design, handing it over to production, and you're done. There's more that needs to come further down the line. So again, we're kind of looking at the time element of all of this. So we need to look at all of the various milestones that have to occur during this entire process. So you want to keep everything on track. You want to make sure that everybody knows who is responsible for the various tasks, what they need to do, what their deliverables are, when they're actually due to complete those. So it gives you a real-time view, an overview of that. So you can look at an individual product, a group of products, over time, week to week, month to month, year to year, as necessary. So you can group related products together, and kind of see a complete portfolio of all of your products and manage and be in control of the entire situation. Because obviously no one product typically lives on its own. Very few organizations produce one product only, and they have to look at the overview of all of the products that are in production that you're dealing with. So you can set all of the various milestones for the various tasks, and obviously make sure then that you monitor and meet those milestones over time. Next is the bill of materials management. So that typically starts off inside of Vault in the CAD, in the engineering environment. So you design, you get your engineering bill of materials, but then you need to extend that out to the wider world, to the PLM side, to your enterprise resource management, your manufacturing management side. So that becomes your manufacturing bills of materials. So the PLM allows you to easily extend your engineering bill out to become your manufacturing bill of materials with all of the relevant item numbers, part numbers, descriptions, quantities, additional components and services that might go along with that. So it helps to track all of the costs and revisions throughout the manufacturing stages. The enterprise BOM obviously has to show the history of that bill of materials and show the various decisions that occurred along the way, so that you're fully in control of that and understand the state of a product at various stages over time. So you can look back and see what has changed, what the current situation is, and even look at what the future is as well, because you can see, well, okay, there are pending revisions coming down the line. Somebody's found an issue or decided to change a particular feature of a product, so you know what's coming in the future as well. So you can look at the entire bill of materials over time and make sure that you stay in control of all changes to it. Next, then we have supplier collaboration. You have the ability to work with all the various suppliers and third parties that you need to include in your process. So again, sometimes there might be a long lead time in some of those suppliers and the actions and products that they're going to supply to you. Or you might need things to happen in kind of a parallel manner rather than one thing at a time. So you can bring suppliers in early in the process, and give a kind of a granular level of control over what they have access to. So you're in control. Obviously, they don't see anything they're not allowed to see or that you don't want them to see. They see only the information that's relevant to themselves, but they get it at the earliest possible point in the process, so that they can start their work and have their information and their designs and their products ready at the point that you require them. So that could be even just from the initial quotation stage. You let them have access to data so that they can create a bid or some kind of a tender for what they're supplying to you, and be able to manage the availability of it and so on. So again, you can manage all of the supplier compliance there as well. You might want to do auditing on your suppliers. Again, you can track all of that. There's various apps and workflows within PLM that allow you to manage the suppliers in a timely manner, stay in control of all of their actions and services, and obviously have your approved vendor list. And it kind of fits in as a natural part of this overall process. So again, obviously, the supplier integration allows you to have one source of truth for everybody involved. Everybody is sharing the same data, and there's no issues, no difficulties in sharing that information with all of the relevant people. Next, we have the quality management side. So, change management side, I should say. Change management obviously can come in various different forms at various different stages in the process. The biggest one typically would be the engineering change order. So during the engineering stages, when you're designing your product, there's engineering change orders, for various reasons. You find a problem, you find a new feature you want to add, whatever it might be. So change obviously happens constantly. We can't stop it, but we do need to control it. So we need to have an audit trail, obviously, of all of the changes that occur at the different stages. We need to know exactly what happened and what changed, and avoid bottlenecks and make sure that everybody has information relating to that change at the earliest possible time. So PLM obviously has all of the various apps and workflows for the change request process, notifying all of the relevant people, getting all of the information and the approvals as necessary. Obviously, many companies have many different ways of operating when it comes to change management, but PLM is fully configurable and adapts to what you require rather than making you adapt to what it does. So you're fully in control of the change management process throughout. So next is the quality management. Again, you can automate a lot of the quality processes. So again, you want to make sure that you couple your quality management directly with all of the other activities, what they call a closed loop process. So it means that you have an overall process in place to make sure that you have regular checks and balances on your design to make sure that there are no defective parts going out the door. So you can start with regular internal audits. We can have return merchandise, the authorization and approval and review process that goes with that. You might have corrective and preventive actions that need to be implemented. So coupled with the change management process inside in PLM, it makes sure that everything is in this closed loop that I mentioned, because any issue that arises on the quality side makes its way back through the engineering, through the change management process, and everybody is aware of it. Everybody has their tasks and deadlines, and nothing gets overlooked. So you have a full audit trail of the entire process. It means that you have basically a stronger brand at the end of the day, because you can identify issues quickly, bring them to closure, and to the satisfaction of your customers. And then over time, obviously, you can refine your process to improve your quality management systems, improve your change controls procedures, and basically have fewer incidents and fewer issues going out into the world. So we talked a little about the different scenarios with product data, process management, enterprise integrations. So just to review, Autodesk Vault PLM is an online process. Your PLM runs completely in the cloud. You can access it anytime, anywhere from various devices. The user interface is a web browser, so you don't have any application to install. You just basically give authorization to the relevant people to access it. So you have no issue rolling it out to your teams, nothing to deploy on their particular local PCs or iPads or whatever other phones or devices that they want to actually use to access this data. So it makes it much more accessible and much more convenient for the users to access the information where and when they need it. And there's obviously various other supporting things then available for this environment. Like there is an app store with add-ons for PLM that allow you to integrate additional functionality, additional tools and templates, just to help everything get done more quickly and easily. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Most organizations have a fairly common theme going through them in terms of the kind of things that they need to do. So you don't need to reinvent something that has already been done. It might be similar to what you need. You can easily then adapt it to suit your own particular needs. So we looked at going from product data management to product lifecycle management with Vault PLM tools. So we've looked a little bit about the quality and the costs, and I hope I've kind of given you some kind of an understanding of the difference between the PLM and PDM. And it's not kind of an either or situation. Do I need one or the other? Basically, you need both working hand in hand together to give you the overall control that you require. So PDM and PLM combined help you get your products out to market faster, improve the quality, ultimately reduce the time and costs associated with your products and with your activities. So it's all about integrating all of the various processes as well around the designs and so on, and how you control everything from the initial concept through manufacturing, through product service life, and through to the retirement of the product. So hopefully that has given you an overview. I want to just take a little bit of a closer look at the PLM side of it now at this point. And we want to just see a little bit about, get a feel for what it looks like and what kind of things you need to do within the PLM application. So obviously I mentioned you get various things out of the box, but you can customize things then obviously to suit your own particular needs. So again, Fusion Lifecycle runs in the cloud. It's hosted on servers provided by Autodesk. It's all managed by them. You don't need to worry about the back end of it. That's all taken care of by Autodesk. What Autodesk give you then really is what they call a tenant. So if you think about it kind of like a an unfurnished apartment. Basically, they provide you with a site, that where you can store all of your data, information about your processes, user information, all of the various security information that's required. You have your own unique URL to kind of log into the system. It's a location, obviously, where your users can go to access all of the information that's stored within there. So, like I said, you can kind of think of it as a furnished apartment, because when you get Fusion Lifecycle, you're getting kind of a pre-configured site. It has basic configurations for the common situations that you're likely to encounter. And so within that tenant, they give you what they call workspaces. A workspace is basically just a set of related records. Workspace for quality, a workspace for change control, and so on. So anything that's related to each other goes into a relevant workspace. So all of those things, obviously, you can associate various properties, with workspaces as well. So every workspace typically has some kind of a defined behavior or a goal. For example, if you want to look at a problem report, it could be considered to be a workspace. If it reports on a problem that occurs, you might have a non-conformance report or some kind of a quality issue that you need to deal with. So you can have as many workspaces within your tenant as you need. There are technically an unlimited number of workspaces. So you can have all of these workspaces you need for any particular process, and there's no charge per workspace. So the charging is done on a different basis. We'll look at that later on, but you can add each workspace as you need. So once you have a particular goal, you add your workspace. And sorry, just gone the wrong direction there. Bear with me for a moment. So again, you have unique work record numbering within that workspace. So you have uniquely identify all of the records within that, and that's all customizable to suit your particular numbering schemes. And you have customizable workflows within that. So you can create your workflows to suit the tasks and the various processes that you need to complete. And then obviously with all of this customizable process and workflow, you have a graphical method of displaying and managing and modifying that. So it just gives you a map of all of the various different stages and all of the kind of the gates and steps that the process goes through. So you have a clear, easily understandable map of your process. Typically, you want to start with some kind of an initiation action, go through the various steps, and finish with perhaps an approved action in this example here. So again, obviously, you have options to cancel it or do various different actions depending on what the outcomes are, and you can define all of those variations to suit your own particular needs. So again, within the workspace, you don't have to put all of your eggs into one basket either. You can have one workspace that is for the beginning of your thought process. You have an idea about what you want to do. You can refine it later on. You can add a second workspace to further refine that. And then that can kind of hand the baton off then to a third workspace. So it's all fully customizable to suit your particular needs. And then again, you can obviously have an individual standalone workspace as well, but it's all configurable to suit the requirements of your organization and the way that you like to work. So again, change management obviously is the example that we've just kind of been looking at here. We have your problem report under change management, which is the default out of the box change management solution we're looking at here. And then obviously you have other related tasks there, like your change request, change orders, they feed from one stage to the next. So you have kind of a built-in workflow there. So there are different workflows in different areas. You have your quality management workflow, you have your field service, you have your equipment management. There's various different workflows that you can utilize within the environment. So again, they've kind of put together a Fusion Lifecycle tenant out of the box, and these processes obviously this is an example of the process. So this is a small set of what's inside in a default tenant. So again, you're looking at the change situation here. So again, you have your problem report, deviations, waivers, whatever it might be. So again, no workspace really kind of stands on its own, and they're all interrelated and they interact with each other. They're linked in some fashion. So it's part of a larger process and larger overall solution. And that obviously is the whole premise of PLM, is to manage the interactions and the interconnections between all of these different processes. So let's just have a little look at the change management workflows. So again, within this map here, we have the change management parts. It often starts with a problem report. You can rename that obviously whatever you want. It could be a service issue or some kind of report ticket or whatever it is that you want to call it. You change that to suit your own requirements. So typically, if we start with a problem report, somebody investigates that, they evaluate it, they find if it's valid, then obviously we can lead on to perhaps a change request. So a change request will be created, and it gives the information or makes the information available to different people in the organization, gets their input on that, and it moves it out to a wider visibility within the organization. So again, obviously, if that change request is reviewed by those relevant individuals, and if they think that there is something valid in it, that it needs to move on, then that can spawn, obviously, the next stage in the process, which is an actual change order. So that is the instruction to the relevant people to change the design, change the processes, whatever it is that's required to rectify the problem that has been identified. So again, typically they don't stand alone. These with a change order will feed into your items and your bombs. So that's your actual design of your product. And then obviously the relevant people will need to be made aware of those changes, and that will filter out to the manufacturing process. It'll filter out to your purchasing department and so on. So again, you're managing the bills of materials, you're managing all of the changes within the environment and making sure that you're in control of all of that. So again, just a little look at a screenshot of the application itself, just showing some of the information and how it's displayed on here. So we're looking at a problem report here. So if somebody's found a problem, they've recorded the information relating to it, it's logged in the system. So again, you can have simple data entry, in nice intuitive user interface. Again, you have control over how it looks and feels, and make sure that people enter all of the relevant required information relating to that problem, so that you have a clear picture right from the start of what is being reported. Again, then obviously, you can attach various related documents to it. It might be photographs or specifications or whatever it might be useful to give information to the relevant people down the line to make sure they fully understand what the issue is. So in this case here, obviously, we have one that's showing in the finished situation, a completed state. Again, what happens next once that is completed? Again, you can automatically create the change request associated with that. So you don't have to wait for somebody to make a manual decision. Once the relevant person has reviewed the problem report and authorized it, it automatically creates the change request. So again, no manual delays, no possibility of human error. So again, there's the change request. The information is carried through automatically. It has a defined map workflow that goes through, notifies the relevant people. All of the other stakeholders, participants have the information available to them, and they're made aware of it in a timely fashion to make sure that it is processed promptly. And once that is processed, then once the change request has been reviewed by the relevant people, then you can automatically use the same type of automation in the background to create the change control, the change order. So again, this is related directly to the bill of materials, to the actual design of the product. The change order obviously can stack up a number of other change tasks related to it, because obviously a change might not exist on its own. There might be another set of related things that need to be done as well, or you might want to integrate other changes or multiple changes into one change order. So again, Fusion Lifecycle gives you the complete control of that process right the way through. So again, obviously that leads to progressing the workflow. The workflow is implemented, moved through until it gets to the completed stage, and bumps up the revision number of your engineering design, manages all of the related tasks that need to be performed, informs all of the relevant people that need to have that information immediately. There's no delays, no bottlenecks, and it helps to avoid errors and lost production and rework and so on. So again, obviously, again, it might be obsoleting a product as well, or there's various other potential outcomes from it, depending obviously on what the situation is. So that's a summary of the PLM solution from Autodesk. If you would like to get some more information, obviously there's a couple of URLs listed on the screen there at the moment. You can go to our own website and procad.ie/data-management. There's some information on PDM and PLM included there, and we'll be updating that in the coming days as well with some new information, new links relating to Fusion Lifecycle particularly, and also another one which I'll come to in a moment. You can obviously go directly to the Autodesk website as well for some more information about the Fusion Manage product, autodesk.com/products-fusion-manage, or it's 360-manage and features. So again, there are various videos and bits of information on the Autodesk website that will give you some more information relating to that. And obviously, you can also reach out to me. Please feel free to contact me, g.tracy@procad.ie. Just drop me an email if you have any questions arising from the webinar today, or if you have any questions relating to PLM, from an overview point of view, or any specific detailed questions. I'll do what I can to respond to those. I'd certainly be delighted to hear from you and to have the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have as a follow-on from this webinar. So one other thing there that I just mentioned, we have been looking at the Fusion product from Autodesk, but there is actually also a second offering in the PLM and PDM world. This has just recently become available through an acquisition. Autodesk have bought a product called Upchain, which has been very quickly integrated into the Autodesk world. It's a ready-to-go product at this point. All of the Autodesk employees and resellers like ourselves are currently undergoing training on this product, and we will be in a position to offer it in the very near future. It has the advantage of having a fully cloud-based both PLM and PDM, so your product data management exists in the cloud as well, which can simplify the process for some situations, although some organizations do prefer to have the product data management on their own local servers, as in a Vault application or something similar. So again, there's two different offerings there that will suit hopefully all of the types of situations and scenarios that we're likely to come across. In the meantime, in the short term, obviously you can have a look at upchain.com website if you would like to get a little bit more information about that, or again, as I said, reach out to ourselves to discuss it further if you think it might be of benefit to you. So that basically is everything I have to present on this webinar. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me. I look forward to hearing from people in the future. If you have any questions at the moment, feel free to pop it into the chat box in the webinar. If you have any questions, if any questions pop up there, I'll try to answer them now. Alternatively, as I said, just drop me an email or contact anyone in ProCAD. If you have a regular contact that you deal with, reach out to any of us and we will be delighted to talk to you and try and help you along the PLM journey. So just check to see if we have any questions coming through here. I don't think we have anything just at the moment. So I think on that basis, then we'll just wrap it up for the moment. Look forward to talking to some of you in the near future. Thank you very much for your time, and goodbye for now.